Today on the show, I'm talking about Game of Thrones Season 7.
Okay, here we are. I have one thing to say about this episode.
What's that?
Mario Lopez.
What?
I need you to be more like Mario Lopez in this episode.
Oh, God.
No complaining or bitching. Like Mario Lopez, he's always positive, he's always smiling, and he always says what people want to hear.
Yeah, he's
okay?
Perfectly tanned.
I don't want to hear anything that you really think. I want you to talk like Mario Lopez talks. I think you should do it however you think is right and appropriate.
Oh. Well, thank you, Space Brain. I think,
Hush, you're not an executive producer, Space Brain. All right? I took that position now.
Well, when did you become, like...
I need this to be a hit video.
When did you become an executive producer? Like, where is this coming from?
That's right. Yeah, I'm an executive producer now on this show.
Smile more, baby. We need some more TNA.
Okay, I'm taking over this show.
Taking over
We're
control.
We're going to move this show out of the gutter and into...
Prime time.
Prime time. And into prime time, baby.
Yeah, we're going to be in prime time.
All right?
Yeah, I think we're too hot. Too hot for television.
If you just follow my executive producing, I will get this show on NBC.
Oh.
Prime time, we'll have all the housewives watching this channel.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to be on NBC. Yeah, that's my goal in life.
Just be like Mario Lopez. Or Jimmy Fallon. Everyone loves Jimmy Fallon.
Let's not even get started on Jimmy Fallon, okay? Like,
Okay, go. Start talking about Game of Thrones.
Okay. Let me start by giving you my history with Game of Thrones. Talk about my relationship with this intellectual property. It all started when I was in college. I read the book series and I absolutely fell in love with it. I thought it was amazing. I just devoured it. It was so good. And then later on, I heard that HBO had optioned this to make it into a show. And I was really nervous because I was like, okay, are they really going to do a good job with this? Because this is really intense and how are they going to make this into a show? And I was really worried. But then season 1 came out. I watched it and I was just I was just so pumped. I was so excited. It was a mostly faithful adaptation to the book series. They did not spare any expense. They gave it a fucking budget that it deserved. I was just so blown away by it. I was so relieved. Once I saw this.
This has gone good so far.
Yeah. And in 2012, I made some videos about, I think, season 2 of Game of Thrones. I talked about that. And then that got a lot of response on the internet. And later on, I made the Epic History Game of Thrones series to help people who hadn't read the books to understand kind of the relationships and what's going on between these great houses. And everything was great, we were all having a good time.
How did you guys personally start to tackle The Beast, which is a book series that's not even completed yet?
But as time went on, okay, these writers were trying to cram one book in every season. And I was started getting nervous, because I was dude, George R. R. Martin does not write very fast. They're gonna catch up to him. They're gonna catch up to him, and then what the fuck's gonna happen? I had this fucking crazy anxiety about it, because I am a crazy person, and I get too emotionally invested in things. But I started to get really nervous around season 4 and 5, when I saw how fast they were going through these books, and that they were gonna catch up to George R. R. Martin.
The TV series has caught up with the novels, and George is nowhere near finishing the 6th volume.
And at that point, they were doing 80% George R. R. Martin, but then starting to write some of their own storylines. They had reached the end of some of the storylines where I have to make stuff up, and I was ooh, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be really tough for these writers, because George R. R. Martin's a fucking genius, and what are they gonna do when they don't have his source material to work from?
Luckily, we've had a lot of talks with George about where he's going. We know the end point, and we're hoping that that end point will be
T-shirt, did you feel like the 20% of the show writer's writing didn't match George R. R. Martin's style?
Well, yeah, I did. I saw it, because the thing is, and I have a lot of compassion for these writers, because they're put in a really awkward position, okay? They have source material that was worked on for years at a time, perfected, by this, you know, genius writer, you know, it's like this crazy shit, right? And like, they don't have time to do that. Like, they have to make a season every fucking year. Like that. I mean, how much time do they really have to write before they have to go in production and get everything filmed and then get everything edited? It's like they have no time.
Oh, that's true. It's only 1 year to produce a whole 10 hours of content.
Yeah, like that's a lot. And so I was just like, there's no way that they're going to be able to pull it off. Like that they're going to be able to write things that are on the level of the source material.
That's like making a 10-hour movie in 1 year, when most movies take 3 years to get made for only a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. And they also have, I mean, they're filming around the world. They've got all these different locations. They have all these fucking characters. I mean, like, it's mind-boggling thinking about the production. And, like, it is amazing that they're even able to get this show made, because it's a lot. So I have compassion for these people. So here we are, 2017, season 7. And during this season, online, I've seen a lot of people who are very discontent with the writing that's going on. Now that we're off the George R.R. Martin books, people are feeling like I was feeling like a few years ago when I was like upset about this. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a problem, and it's a fucking problem, and I was freaking out. But that's like how I roll. I always like see a problem, and then I get upset about it, but then by the time it actually happens, and I just like, I've accepted it by that point, and then I'm like not mad about it anymore. So like, this season, I understood that there were going to be some shenanigans going on. There totally were. But at the same time, I had a lot of fun with this season. And there was a lot of really good things about it that I'm really grateful for. So we're just going to switch gears. We're going to go somewhere else. We're going to talk about things I liked about season 7 of Game of Thrones.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay.
So what did you like in season 7?
I loved the length of this season. 7 episodes was perfect. I think the music this season was great. I loved the effects. I mean, like, holy shit. It's like next level shit, okay? It was so good. I loved all the locations they had going on. I mean, I was very impressed with the overall production value of this season. And, I mean, let's just give a big fucking shout out to the dragons.
Yes.
We've been waiting for some dragon business, and
Yes.
They delivered, okay? Like, they delivered on some sexy dragon business, and I was super fucking into it, okay? I was so into it that when I saw that fucking episode where Daenerys got on her dragon, she's like, I don't have time for this fucking problem. She gets on her fucking dragon, she goes, destroys the Lannister army. It was amazing. I got goosebumps watching it. I was just like, yes! Like, yes! And I was so inspired. I was so inspired by this scene that very same night, I fucking did a Patreon revolution. I've been wanting for months to do this situation where I had to retool my entire fucking Patreon site from a tier system into a fucking pay what you want system, and like, fuck, that dragon scene, like, gave me that fire, gave me the fuel in my tank to fucking get that shit done, and I knocked it out that night.
Oh, wow.
I just felt exactly like Daenerys. I was just like, I have a problem. I don't have time for this. I'm gonna get on my dragon and burn this shit down, you know? And so I just like got on my computer and I was like, type, 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 type. And then I fucking figured it out, and it was awesome, and it worked out like perfectly.
Oh, well, that's really nice.
And the number one thing that I love about this show is having a shared experience, being a part of this larger community, because this is a fucking cultural zeitgeist. I mean, in a time where you have the internet, it's so cool to still have that time where we all wait till Sunday and like watch the show together, and then we all get on Twitter and we talk about it and Facebook, and like it's super crazy. And even more than that, like, it's brought me and my neighbors together. Like, I have a Game of Thrones crew with like a few of my other neighbors. We get together. We've been doing this for like 3 seasons now. And it brings me so much joy to get together with them, to like eat popcorn and pizza and get drunk and argue about this fucking show, and like see them antagonize one another and have bets over who's gonna die, and like, it's so much fun. Like, it's so much fun, and I look forward more to like having Game of Thrones nights with my neighbors than like actually what's gonna happen in the show. Like, cause I just like fucking sharing an experience. I think it's cool to have this relationship. And while I may have my criticisms about this show, it doesn't mean that I hate it overall. You know, like, I have my criticisms and I have my things I love about it. Just like everything. And I think that this show is very impactful in a lot of ways, and I think that it has a lot of things to say in its own way. And even though it's not necessarily what George R. R. Martin is going to do, I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool what's going on, and I can't wait to see where they take it. I think that they're really trying to do something, and I appreciate that. I appreciate what they're doing.
Yes. I'm liking this positivity. Mario Lopez would approve.
Well, yeah. I'm not here to just be a Debbie Downer. Like...
How do you spell entertainment?
So now we're done with my compliments for the season, and let's get into my criticisms.
Well, what's your first number one criticism of season 7 then?
I'd have to say my number one criticism is Sam curing Dragon Scale in a night. Curing Jorah. I was like, really? He just read a book and then did it, and he like cured it in a night. This incurable disease, this apprentice, he just did it in a night.
Yeah, I didn't have that much of a problem with it.
And I don't. Again, I'm being irrational. Okay, like with how much fucking. As someone who's had like fucked up skin problems, like I haven't had grayscale, mind you, but like I've had fucked up eczema. Like it takes a long time to get rid of that shit. Like you do not cure that overnight. Okay, skin problems suck. It's just a little far-fetched. There's no way Jorah Mormont would be like feeling great the next fucking day and like putting on a shirt. This dude's able to get up and get on a fucking saddle and like get on a horse. Like no way. Well, you can't talk about Game of Thrones Season 7 without talking about the teleportation that's happening around Westeros. I've seen a lot of people talking about this where people are just getting around this fucking continent real fast all of a sudden, you know? It's just like, what? Like, he was here, now he's here? Like, what? Like, holy shit. For example, in Season 1, you really felt the weight of having to travel, where you had the king taking like so long to get all the way up to the north, and then, you know, the Stark family like having to travel all the way back down south. I mean, you see how slow it is, how hard it is to like transport people. And I really like that realism, you know, I really love that. And that was completely abandoned in this season. Everybody's just like fucking all around Westeros, man, no fucking problem. My third complaint is Euron Greyjoy sucks like so bad. Like I'm just so frustrated. In the books.
Why?
Dude, in the books, like this motherfucker is so scary and like weird and cool, and that is just, I feel like it's not captured. I feel like he's very cartoonish. He really looks like my friend Sig. Like every time I see him, I think of Sig Neutron, and then I can't take it seriously. Like it takes me right the fuck out of it. And also like his nautical star leather shit, like it doesn't go with everything else. Like he's wearing like this nautical admiral's outfit, and then he builds an entire fleet, you know, in like a fucking day, and then they have thousands of ships that are like steampunk. And you had Joffrey as a villain for a while, and like, God, he was so despicable, but he was so realistic. Like the just shitty boy king, you know, who's just like been utterly ruined by like how spoiled he is and like growing up in this like ridiculous household. Then you had Tywin coming in, like, oh my god, Tywin is like the best. Like I love Tywin's character. He was such an awesome villain. And then we went to like Ramsay Bolton, who's like really mustache twirling villain guy who's like way too out there for me. And then now that he's gone, they've gone to Euron being the next kind of mustache twirler. And it's like, Ramsay's really fucked up in the books, but I feel like it was really believable. Whereas Ramsay in the show was very out there. And Euron is also someone who, like, I'm just so fascinated by in the books. He's just, like, so mysterious and so crazy and weird and out there and scary. And I just did not feel any of that in this translation.
What's your number 4 complaint?
Well, Arya is like a Terminator now. I don't know, like her character is so off the rails, I feel like. It's just like, woof.
Why?
Well, I mean, she kills all of House Frey, and I wasn't impressed by that. And then like it's a mask, and she's a faceless man. She's just this badass, and her and Sansa's, like, I don't know, it's just not buying it.
Okay, well, what's your number 4th criticism?
It was really exciting for us to see Ed Sheeran in the premiere. That was such a nice surprise.
Fun.
Man, Ed Sheeran really took me out of the show, man. I was like super bummed on seeing him, because when I watch Game of Thrones, like I'm trying to get immersed in this fictional universe. I'm trying to leave this behind and like go into this other universe. And so when I see a massively popular, pop star dude show up, it's like, oh, come on, like, get out of here.
Yeah, but Ed Sheeran is a beloved British megastar, and Benioff invited him on as a surprise for Maisie Williams, who is his biggest fan. Plus, other band members have made appearances in the past, such as Coldplay, Mastodon, and Monsters of Men.
Okay, look, I don't know what the members of Mastodon look like. I don't know, besides Chris Martin, I don't know the other fucking Coldplay guys. So, like, they don't take me out of it. But, like, Ed Sheeran, I do know what the fuck he looks like. And I was like, no. And then that whole scene, too, I felt like, okay, so the tension of the scene was like, Arya, who's now a Terminator, is hanging out with these Lannister soldiers who, like, she hates Lannisters. So, but she finds out that they're actually, like, really good kids. Like, they're not assholes, And I was like, I thought it was interesting to see whether she's going to be a cold-blooded killer and kill all of these, like, kind of innocent, nice dudes. Or whether she's going to be like, okay, I'll give them a pass. And that was never followed up with anything. We never find out what happens with them, and I was kind of disappointed by that. If you're gonna put them in there, like, make it a point to do something with it. And I just felt like it was very superfluous. It didn't have a reason other than to, I don't know, make Maisie Williams excited. But the thing is like, I don't give a fuck about her excitement. Like, it's fucking, like, get out of here, bitch. And then when they fucking asked her, like, and that line where the Lannister soldiers, she's like drinking, and they're like, oh, are you old enough to drink? And I was just like, we're in Westeros, okay? There's no legal drinking fucking age going on here, okay? There's no fucking police that, like, this is not how this shit works, okay? Like, no one would ask that question.
Comic Book Girl, what did you think of the Sam poop montage in the Citadel?
I hated it. I thought it was unnecessary, and I hated it. We get it, And honestly,
I loved the poop montage.
No, let me tell you.
It was funny.
Let me tell you why. Okay.
You have no sense of humor.
Sam has gone from freezing his balls off on the wall, getting no pussy, to now living in a place that isn't frozen, and he totally gets to live with his girlfriend and like his like step's kid, and like now he's complaining about it. Like, come on.
19. What did you think about the scene where Arya fought Brienne of Tarth? Everyone loved it.
It's all right. I mean, I don't know why she would reveal herself like that in front of everybody. I mean, you'd think you'd want to play that close to the vest because everyone thinks you're a little girl, and so, like, you don't want everyone to know you're super badass, so then, like, when they try to come kill you, you just, like, fucking, surprise, I'm fucking badass. But instead, she just, like, showed everybody, like, just showed them their hand. Just showed everyone her hand.
Comic Book Girl.
Yes.
What'd you think of Uncle Benjen coming back suddenly to save Jon Snow and then dying?
I don't know. It's kind of Deus Ex Machina. A little lazy. Whatever.
Well, they had to do something with his character.
I guess. I mean, it's the big reveal. Cold hands. Well, I don't care.
What about the White Walker in King's Landing? It's popping out, zombie running. That was cool.
I mean, yeah, that was cool. They did, I was worried that, like, he was going to be dead in the box and they were going to dump it over, and then starts to be like, what? I was kind of worried for a second, but yeah, it was some Walking Dead business in there.
What about Arya and Sansa teaming up to trick Littlefinger, getting him killed? That was awesome.
I mean, I guess it ended awesome, but like during the season, they do all this stuff to make it look like Sansa and Arya are at odds. And if they're really secretly teaming up, then like, why are they like having these problems? Because then that would mean that they're actually having those problems and they don't actually trust each other. And like, why would they be doing that? Because Littlefinger isn't there to watch them, so it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Because it was a cool trick switcheroo.
I guess. I mean, if that's what you want to call it. Overall, there's a lot of inconsistencies within the show. The show has set all of these rules, and these are based on George R. R. Martin's rules from the books, and it's like grounded in this realism that's really interesting, that's like really cool. How long it takes to get from one place to another, it's like how impossible these odds are because of like the technologies that they're working with is like medieval shit. And so this season, I feel like, has really kind of thrown those rules out, and so we're just kind of doing whatever. And I see a lot of people online who are like, oh, well, this show has dragons and shit. Like, I mean, whatever, who cares? It's all fantasy. But that's not true. There are rules, and that's what makes it really interesting. And when you start breaking all of those rules, it takes me out of the fantasy of it. It takes me out of this story.
What'd you think about ice dragons? That was the coolest part ever. That was so cool that no complaints matter anymore.
The ice dragon was really fucking cool. I totally agree. That shit was so hot. The dragons this season were so amazing, like so great. Really well done stuff. I was like, fuck, like when that fucking dragon came out, like, it was so good. I'm super down. And it's like, what are they gonna do? Like, they just gave a fucking dragon away, these fucking assholes. Although I will say that I didn't like how Viserion died. That old dude was just like a fucking Olympic javelin thrower. Like, that was a bit of a stretch for me. I would have preferred to see him on the mountain where we originally saw him, and then have him throw the javelin down onto the dragon. You know, like that, I would have been able to like accept that. But then the other thing was a little bit of a stretch. But dragons are fucking cool. Yeah.
That was cool when the dragon destroyed the wall, and all of them got loose.
Yeah, although I'm a little unsure as to what the dragon is breathing. Like, is it breathing fire? Because, like, it didn't look like it was melting the wall at all. But then again, it didn't look like it was, like, if it can't be ice, you know, because then it's like, that would just make the wall stronger because the wall's made out of ice. So it seemed like the dragon was just breathing, like, pure force. I'm a little confused as to what the dragon is breathing, but it looked fucking cool. I'll say that.
Comic Book Girl, what did you think about Bran Stark this season?
Well, I feel like the writers really didn't know what to do with his character. He's very powerful. He's become a fucking Kwisatz Haderach. And if you don't know what I'm talking about Dune, all right? I've been talking about Dune for like the past like 10 weeks, all right? And Bran is a direct descendant of that idea of the person who can see the past, the present, and the future all at once. And so I felt like, obviously I'm into Kwisatz Haderachs, but I feel like they don't know how to write them because it's like it's a mindfuck to write a character like that. You gotta be really out there.
So you feel like the character that's supposed to be really smart didn't seem really smart?
Well, he's not really smart. He's like really psychedelic. You know, he's a very psychedelic character. And if you don't have people who've done psychedelics writing this character, it's not gonna turn out because like you have got to have gone on some spirit quests to like understand this shit to some degree.
So you're saying the writers don't understand his character?
Yeah, no.
Hey, Comic Book Girl, what are you looking for the most next season, in season 8?
Well, the thing that I'm looking forward to the most is finding out who ends up with Brienne of Tarth. Brienne of Tarth, man.
What?
She's my girl.
Why?
It's gonna be like, she is like the most eligible bachelorette in Westeros. Okay, like move over, Daenerys. It's all about Brienne, okay? Because Brienne has all these amazing love interests, and like I'm so excited for her. Like I don't know, I'm just like so excited for her. I think that like she deserves it, you know? Like she deserves it. She deserves a good man by her side, and she's got her pick of the litter, okay? She's got a lot of suitors. I think they're really great suitors, and I want to see who she's gonna end up with. First of all, we got Tormund, all right? I love Tormund in the show. Like Tormund in the book, I'm like, nah, he's fuck, well, who cares? But like Tormund in the show, like this actor is so charismatic. He's so much fun. I think that originally they probably didn't have a lot of like work for him. Like they didn't think that he was gonna like carry on, but like the actor is so awesome. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but he's great. And I love that he has this huge crush on Brienne. I love that he's constantly like looking at her and like winking at her and like trying to be like cool guy. It's like so cute. It's so fucking cute. I just love it. I want to see them together. Like I do want to see them together, but at the same time, she has this connection with Jaime. Jaime has just left Cersei. He's like, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm out. Like, I can't fucking do this with you. He goes north. He's going to see Brienne of Tarth again. So, like, is their whole thing going to be rekindled? You know, and also at the same time, she does have a title. You know, she's Brienne of Tarth. You know, she's from a house. So, like, marrying a wildling, you know, it's like a little weird. But, like, marrying, like, a fucking other guy from a house, like, that makes sense. So, there's also the Jaime question. But then, when they're all in King's Landing having that big summit, you know, you see her with the Hound. And they're talking about Arya, they're talking about Sansa, you know, the Stark girls. And like, he was like making her laugh, you know, like they were like having a good time together. And I felt like, oh fuck, maybe there's a new challenger here. Maybe the Hound is gonna get with Brienne, because it makes sense if she wanted to get with the Hound because he's really fucking tall and she's really tall. So, like, there's that whole thing, because it is, like, you know, if you're a big person, you want another person similar size. Like, that makes sense. So, and then let's not even go into Podrick. I mean, we all know that Pod is packing, and he's doing some awesome. And, like, they've been in the woods. They've been fighting each other. It's like, you know, I don't think Pod's gonna be a real challenger, but I think that like I like the idea of Pod. So I'm really fascinated to see who the lucky man is gonna be next. I don't know who I'm rooting for though. Like I like all of them so much. Like I like her with Tormund. I like her with Jaime. I like her with the Hound. Like I just want to see.
Comic Book Girl, which character will you be the most sad if they die in season 8?
Who will I be the most sad to see go? Jorah Mormont. Jorah Mormont. I feel like he's gonna sacrifice himself for Daenerys. I mean, we all know where it's going. Daenerys is already like passed him up again, you know. Now it's like Jon Snow's over here cock blocking. Like poor Jorah, you know, like poor fucking Jorah.
He's got to get some before he goes.
I know. Like I feel bad for him. Like I just like, you know, I love Jorah. Jorah in the books is like hairy and kind of like gross and like not like a hot deal, and so it makes sense why Daenerys is like not attracted to him. But in the show, it doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense because Ian McGlynn, who plays Jorah, is so friggin' hot. Like he's just like, yes.
So Jorah Mormont gets laid in season 8.
Yeah, that's not gonna. Jorah Mormont's gonna die in season 8, and I'll be sad because I want to see him get laid, but that's not gonna happen. So, I think it's fascinating that Game of Thrones is seemingly making like incest chill. Like the idea of incest is chill. We've all accepted that Jaime and Cersei are fucking. Like we're just like, okay, well that's a thing. They're doing that thing. But now to like further this, we're all rooting for Daenerys and Jon Snow to bone, which they do, and she's his aunt. She is his fucking aunt, okay? That is incest. Like, we are rooting for an aunt to have sex with her nephew. That's a little weird, okay? Like, that's a little weird. I mean, I'm willing to get weird with it, but, like, it's odd to me that, like, Game of Thrones is making, like, incest a thing. It's, like, super weird. And I wonder how Jon's gonna feel about it next season. I mean, when he figures it out, and he's like, wait a minute, I've been fucking my aunt, like, he's got that stark sense of rightness. Like I don't see him being chill with that, but at the same time, you know, it's like whatever, you're Targaryens, dude. That's what they do. Like fuck your aunt. It's fine.
I thought you would like the incest because you're from Alabama.
Shut up. The worst. So the worst. That is not a Southern tradition.
That's what they do in Alabama.
No, it is not.
It's a Southern tradition.
It is not. No, it is not the deal. It is not the deal.
Comic Book Girl, do you think the end of Game of Thrones season 8 will be satisfying?
I think that the writers are at a position to where like all they can do is try to appease their fan base. You know, the way that they're writing to make their audience happy versus George R.R. Martin, who's like trying to write this big story for like himself, you know? And so I think that they're going to definitely deliver and do a lot of like really cool stuff. I mean, and I like that they are taking their time with it, that they're not going to have a season next year and that they're going to push it. And I think that's a really smart idea.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And it's also still going to be like 7 episodes. So that's good.
Only 7?
Yeah. And
it's actually 6.
Oh, it's actually 6. Yeah. It's actually, you're right. Yeah.
But do you think that they'll end up spoiling the grand ending of George R.R. Martin?
I hope that they don't, and I don't think that they necessarily will because, you know, they're obviously going off in like 2 different directions. You know, the books are going to go in one direction, and this series is going to go in another direction, and this series is going to be a much more, you know, fuck, I don't know.
It's going to be great.
Sure.
I think George R.R. Martin should go ahead and just spoil his books because he'll never write them.
Oh, God. It's the worst. Hey guys, we're wrapping up Dune Club. We only got 2 more weeks left. A lot of you out there have been asking me, Comic Book Girl, what's your next book club going to be about? Well, I'm here to officially announce that we're doing Alan Moore's Watchmen Club. That's right. We're going to be reading one of the best graphic novels, the graphic novel that fucking raised the bar of the comics medium. That's what we're going to be reading together. Thousands of us internationally this February. Now, just like last time with Dune Club,
we are going to be selling a Watchmen box, and in this box you're going to get a copy of the comic book as well as lots of really cool comic book only teen Watchmen Club merch, such as bookmarks and pins and stickers and all sorts of like super rad shit. The pre-sale is going live next month in October, so be on the lookout, babies.